What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and whatever time it is. Welcome back to yet another video with you, man. Immersionaholic, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another online battle for the divided Impera overhaul mod for Total War Rome 2. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a unique battle because it is a 2 versus 2. That's right. We have 4 players going at each other in Total War Rome 2 DEI. Today, the teams that we have are Arverni Leugoz playing as the Arverni. Here is his general, actually. And he is teaming up with Johnny, who is playing as the Leugoz. So we have a Celtic-Germanic alliance there. Then they are taking on God, who is playing as the Odrysian Kingdom. And Astro Robin, who is playing as the Cimbri. This is going to be a juggernaut barbarian clash. Some very Juggernaut style factions. I know, dare I say the word multiple times, but anyway, these factions are big in the barbarian world, and these players are really good and very well known in the DEI competitive community. So I'm expecting big plays from these guys. Because we are doing, massive armies here, I'm not going to go through every single little unit. I'm just going to give you guys the highlights of each faction and what they're kind of overall doing. And then we'll jump into the battle straight after that. And I'll try to point out units that are important here and there, but with so many units, these guys are using full-size armies, by the way. It's just not worth so much time spent when I can just give you guys the main kind of gist of what each army is doing. So let's do that very quickly for the Arverni and the Leugoz, and then we'll move on to the Cimbri and the Odrysians. So for the Arverni, you can see they have quite a bit of cavalry going on. 3 sets of the Gallic Late Heavy Cav. Then they have the Gallic Late Royal Cav, which is a general, so coming quite heavy with their good cavalry. The Arverni are known for it. But then the rest of their army is essentially spears. They have a couple of the Gallic Veteran Freeman units, a few more, one more over here. And then they have the Gallic Heavy Spearmen, which is taking up their main front line. Then they have Slinger Spearmen as well in the background, and a couple spare units in the rear of some spears and clubmen. Then the Leugoz, which is the Arverni ally, has a lot of late Germanic archers right here. We've got 5 units of them. Their front line, though, is surprisingly also spearmen. They're doing the Eastern Germanic medium spearmen as their front line. I'm guessing they want to do spears to use their shield wall formations and whatnot. Let's look at the Germanic spears. Do they have anything? They have defensive formation that they can use. I don't see any other special abilities that would really be all that amazing. Just the defensive formation. Obviously they have buffs to the defense as well, so not a bad unit to have as your front line. The Leugoz, though, also have their own cavalry over here as well. These guys are the Helisi medium horsemen, so pretty low tier horse unit, but has good attack and defense, but pretty poor armor, so gotta be careful with those bad boys. Then you have 3 sets of pikemen over here, 2 sets of the Helisi assault infantry, which is basically a shock unit, and then their general, which is an Eastern Germanic bodyguard spearman unit. It's a pretty poor low tier general. Gotta be a little risky with that one. We can't really see many of the Cimbri or Odrysian units, but I will briefly go over what we can see, and then I'll try to pause the battle when we can see a little bit more of them. So for the Cimbri over here, which is the orange flags, we have again quite a bit of cavalry. We have 4 sets of them. We got some Cimbri noble horsemen. Yep, they're all Cimbri noble horse. We then have their general, which is a noble axeman unit. Fantastic general to bring in, can be very tanky. He then has more Cimbri axemen, and I believe the rest of the Cimbri formation has a lot of axemen and assault infantry, which is pretty typical of the Germans and especially of the Cimbri, although they do have some very nice skirmishers and spearmen that are actually stealthy, which is why we can't see many of the Cimbri units. The Odrysians, on the other hand, we aren't seeing any cavalry from them, although they might even have a cav unit that has stealth. I'm not entirely sure, we need to confirm that. We then have a long spear pelters unit, which is essentially like a short pike kind of unit. And then their front line is consisting of entirely late Thracian infantry. These guys used to be insanely OP when they were first implemented. They've been toned down a little bit now with their armor and whatnot. So Not as crazy, but they're still going to be very effective, and they should cut through the Germanic and Gallic lines. I mean, they're only using spearmen. They do have 300 men per unit, so that will help out, but I don't know. This is going to be a pretty interesting battle. It's going to be really tough to predict who's going to win, but anyway, let's sit on the hill, press play, and we'll jump into it once the armies get close. Let's get this started. Just very quickly, guys, I wanted to pause the battle here because we're seeing some interesting developments. We're seeing more of each army's units getting spotted and whatnot, so we can see that the Odrysians have a couple pikemen units, some run fire warriors, of course. Then we also get to see that the Cimbri are actually bringing in spearmen to their front lines, so that's quite a surprise, using the Cimbri heavy spearmen. Pretty good unit, although only 15 armor, so got to be careful with that. However, the big development we're seeing is 4 units of Odrysian cavalry coming up here to hide behind the hill. They were a little bit too slow, and so they were spotted by the Arverni Leugoz. I know we only see 3 units of cav here, but there is another one at the front. It just disappeared just before I pressed pause. But anyway, pretty big development. Obviously, they want to bring their cavalry around, try to do some outflanking where possible. We'll see if they actually get to do that, but for now, let's continue with the battle. This is obviously a massive battle. Rome 2 does have its, pretty hard-coded limits on like units and stuff that you can bring into battles. So this battle will probably get a little bit laggy, at least in the early stages. Later on, as more units get killed off, it will get better, but I did just want to make sure that you're all aware of that. There's only so much I can do to try and dissuade that, but we're pretty limited. Seeing some Cimbri archers appear now, 3 units. Gonna have a Cimbri heavy axeman. The Odrysian cavalry coming out, although only 3 of them are. They did leave 1 more up here. Nope, here he comes now. Alright. I was wondering if they were going to try and trick them to bringing down their whole formation. That's what I would have done. Would have left at least 1 unit up there. See the Odrysian general as well. Thracian noble on fire unit. Looks like the Thracians, a German little confederation here, is actually playing on the defensive. Looks like the Leugoz are leading the charge against the Odrysians. They're kind of a little bit squashed up here, though. I would like to see this spread apart a little bit more, or at least like kept back further. Because yeah, look, the Odrysians can try to push forward if they wanted right now. The Odrysians could do a really large frontline charge against the Leugoz, and then the Odrysian cavalry could just pour around the flank. They might do that actually. Cavalry is pushing forward. Leugoz have nothing to stop them, so that's a little risky. Meanwhile, the Arverni, with some support from the Leugoz archers, are coming forward. A lot of skirmishes for the Leugoz and Arverni, so we'll see if they actually can come in to be all that useful. Not sure if they'll be able to get all that many kills to be where they're cost effective. I would almost prefer to just bring in like more clubmen or something, but that's just me. Anyway, look at these Odrysians getting ballsy, getting so close to the Leugoz. Interesting. Very ballsy play indeed. Arverni are sending around some troops to try and help, but Leugoz and Arverni don't really care about the Odrysians. They're just pushing forward quite hard. Looks like we're about to get an entire frontline charge, perhaps. Are we getting it? The Leugoz don't have the attack orders. Odrysians are pushing around the Leugoz flank. Ooh. I'm kind of favoring the Cimbri and the Odrysians just based off their maneuvering right now. Both sides are actually trying to outflank. Very interesting. Here comes the contact. Wait, no contact yet. Both factions are just like staring each other down before they begin charging. Arverni are going into their formations. Seems like a bit of a new style of fighting that Andre is trying out, where he's using a lot of their defensive abilities of units. You guys will remember it was him that was using them as the Romans in the last online battle we posted. Here go the Arverni though, pushing forward, trying to get the engagements with the Cimbri. Whoa, look at those archers though. Oh my goodness. That is a lot of arrows flying in. Leugoz are helping out the Arverni allies quite a lot. Cimbri skirmishers got smashed, but they're still around, so they need to be finished off. Meanwhile, the right-hand flank, the Leugoz are completely on the defensive over here. You can see they're in very defensive, kind of like line formations. The Odrysians were trying to push the issue, but now they're kind of stumbling. They need to be more aggressive, in my opinion. Get those engagements going. Your infantry should chop through those spearmen. At least, in my opinion, they should. We didn't have the short pike units from the Odrysians coming around. What's this here? Short peltas units coming around as well, so they kind of act like a short pike style unit. But okay, now the Odrysians are just holding back in reserve. They fought better of their aggression earlier on. The main front line of the Cimbri and the Arverni is completely engaged though. I think the Cimbri... I thought they would come out on top, but the Leugoz and the Arverni have done a very tricky maneuver, which is bring all of their skirmishers to like one side of the battlefield. And it's doing them quite well. I mean, look, they're getting some really nice free shots on the enemy cavalry right here. I'm not going to get a massive amount of kills, at least not for a while, but they will get a lot of hit point damage to that unit, so, you know, very nice. They just really should have finished the Cimbri archers, in my opinion. They could have finished them off a lot faster. But, you know, here's what it is. Might not make or break the battle, or it might. We'll see. Meanwhile, though, out here, Arverni units and some of the Leugoz are getting kind of caught out. A lot of defensive plays from the Leugoz and the Arverni. Over here, however, it looks like that it can't be ignored anymore. Yeah, the Arverni just gonna have to go ahead and charge. They're going up against Cimbri Noble Horsemen. Stat for stat, though, I would give it to the Arverni Cav. Yeah, definitely. Oh wait, no. Sorry, I would give it to the Cimbri. Yeah, armor 41 versus an armor 23. Holy crap. At least for some of the Arverni. There's a late heavy cav unit, another late one, and then a Gallic early medium cav. So that medium cav is going to get annihilated, unfortunately for the Arverni. But they do have their general who's over here, although he's only walking. Run, you dummy. That's so frustrating when that happens, but look at this. What a whopper. That could have almost been a bit of a fail. Cimbri managed to get through a very nice little opening in the Arverni line. And that's one of the risks that you have to take when you're going to be using these defensive formations. Units can literally just run through the gaps. They don't have to fight your unit. They can do whatever the hell they like. Like, this is more than enough space right here for enemy cavalry units to charge through. So it's super risky, and it makes your line stay very stationary. Luckily for the Arverni, their right flank is still being protected by the Leugoz, who are falling back. Although they are losing to the Odrysians, because they have their units that are kind of just being left behind. Like right here, they have 3 units with no support. The Arverni unit out here is kind of just chilling, just slowing them down. So they're buying them time, but I mean, the left flank out here isn't looking all that great either. Leugoz are coming in to try to help out. Man, definitely are getting that lag down. Again, apologies for that, but there's just too many men on the battlefield. There'll be around 10,000 soldiers right here, at least at the beginning of the battle, so not a lot can be done about that. Look at this though. Interesting. Why are they doing that? We have Odrysian cavalry charging into the rear of their own infantry to try and attack a spear unit. Must have been a misclick of some sort. But they're coming over here to try and help the Cimbri unit. Doesn't need the help. They got it done anyway. And now the Arverni are going to get charged. Oh no, they're not. Oh look. Oh my gosh, look at this maneuver. Oh, no way. The Leugoz archers are going to get charged. The Arverni are getting recharged. What a gap. The Leugoz and the Arverni are pouring troops over here to try and plug the gap, but man, what a nice maneuver by the Odrysian player. I believe that's God as the Odrysians. Woo! Impressive, very nice. That was a ballsy play. He's going to lose some cavalry in that fight. Might even lose one entire unit over here. But man, oh, you love to see it. I love it when decisive action like that is taken. And then he has infantry following up. The Odrysians have a lot of infantry. They're not really being utilized to the best of their ability, but you know, it's okay. Like this one Arverni unit is tying up 4 Odrysians, so that's a win for the Arverni for now. Let's check out the cavalry over here. Looks like the Cimbri are actually going to lose pretty decisively. The Leugoz came in and offered their support. And the Gallic late heavy cav is just amazing. I'm not sure how the Cimbri got spearmen involved in the fight and they still lost that cav. That's super interesting. I mean, they're routing off the field though. Whereas the Arverni have their general right there, so it's definitely going to favor them in terms of morale. Meanwhile, the Cimbri, they're starting to lose their main line. They don't really have all that many units left now. They have some spearmen, an axeman unit over here, some units clogged up, but interesting that the Cimbri have actually been beaten back. And it seems like the delay actions of the Leugoz over here, how they've kind of just been falling back and back and back further, has paid off. Because now the Arverni still have quite a few units left from their main line. They have all of their cavalry, it seems. 1, 2, 3 units, and then their general. So that's it. Wow, that's massive props to the Arverni player for keeping his cavalry alive. Holy crap. I can't believe that. They're going to try to chase down some of the units, but that's actually super impressive. Now it's really going to come down to the Leugoz trying to hold back the Odrysians. The Odrysians understand that they have to push. They got to do it now. They are coming in. Ooh, this is scary. The Leugoz general is on his own. Gonna need some support over there. The archers are still alive over here though. 5 units of allied archers. Pushes are coming through the gaps here as well. Looks like the Cimbri are getting a taste of their own medicine with that. Although there is going to be some routing. And big gaps can open up. Odrysian cavalry has split, interestingly enough, to where it's on the edge of their army and then back in the center to try and act as support. Look at this very nice snipe though. The Arverni archers, they're actually targeting the Odrysian cavalry back here, which is super smart because the cavalry is what's going to be able to reinforce the Odrysian line. Oh, now they're targeting the Cimbri general though. Very nice target as well, and they're hitting him in the back. Oh, nice usage of the archers. I like it, and they're coordinating. They're keeping them close together. They still have like some defensive units nearby to protect their archers. Very nice teamwork right there. Looks like the Cimbri player is essentially out of the game. The Arverni cavalry and spearmen are going to be coming back, and it's just a matter of time till they swing the battle in their favor. So it's going to come down to the Odrysians. Can they slaughter enough of the Leugoz to try and swing the battle back in their favor? It seems unlikely to me. Again, those archers. Oh my goodness, it's so lethal. How impressive is that? Very, very nice work. Leugoz cavalry trying to tie down the Odrysian cav back here. It's gonna work. They get a nice charge, and they have archer fire coming in. Wow. Dude, that Odrysian cavalry got annihilated. They're routing. Incredible, man. I'm so impressed by the Leugoz player for surviving this long against the Odrysian player, because the Odrysian had the upper hand in terms of positioning at the very beginning of the battle. He had cavalry like already behind them. He had his infantry like piled up kind of around there, so he could have like engaged the Leugoz line and then still sent infantry and cavalry around. But the Odrysian player just didn't continue pushing that. Not that it was a big mistake or anything. He had to support his Cimbri teammate as well, which he tried to, but the Arverni player did really well to hold the front line against the Cimbri. The archers are still coming in here so big. Like, they should have been knocked out, or at least had more of their units be knocked out by now. But they're just going for targets of opportunity, like right here. They're trying to hit these men in the rear flank or side flank. They're targeting the wrong fire warriors, which is exactly the kind of unit that you want them to hit. Here comes the trouble, the Arverni cavalry. Oh yeah, look at this. We're going to see a big rout of Odrysian units over here. Man. Unfortunate for the Odrysian player. He lasted so long, he kept a lot of his units in check, but surely there's no way the Odrysian player can bring it back. The Cimbri player, he's essentially done. He has his general left alive, which could still get a lot of kills, granted, but it's just a general. The Arverni Leugoz, they have almost too many units, is still trying to micromanage and get them engaged, which is a very nice problem to have. Wow, man, I'm really impressed. I can't believe that the Leugoz player was able to hold against the Odrysians. Not that the Leugoz player is bad, don't get me wrong about that, guys. It's just the Leugoz as a faction is not that great compared to something like the Odrysians, who are the masters of shock. They have the best shock infantry in DEI. So the fact that they were able to hold them off for so long, very impressive. I mean, the fire warriors are doing work. 323 kills, and they've only lost 9 men. That's disgusting. But the Leugoz player is still here. He's still holding the Odrysian back. You know, it's kind of like a rough line. The Odrysians aren't outflanking. And now the full might of the Arverni reinforcements are coming in to get involved as well. We are seeing a bit of a gap appear though. Right here in the center. There is like some outflanking going on with these isolated units. A bit of a mistake. Very easy mistake to make, but it's quite common, is when you have units get split off from your army and then all of a sudden they're being outflanked, even though that's not really much of an outflanking. Look at this though, the Arverni pushing on the left side. Very nice work. We do have some Cimbri units coming back from the fight, from routing earlier. Just a couple spear units. They really shouldn't be enough to sway the battle back in their favor. Again, the Arverni continuing to do the outflanking. Leugoz cavalry coming back from chasing down Odrysian units. They have 4 units of cav still alive. Oh my gosh. Arverni cav coming around. Cavalry is an absolute must in a massive open field battle like this. I mean, the Odrysian units are to be commended for how well they're doing, despite being outnumbered and outflanked now. Oh look, here comes a wrong fire charge into the rear of these pikes. Oh, I got interrupted. Where are you going, guys? Oh, they're getting charged by cavalry. Ooh, savage. What is that they're trying to recharge? A spear unit. I'll get some nice kills against it. But man, those Rome fire warriors are being targeted by the archers back here. And they're now just isolated themselves, yeah. There goes the Thracian unit. Rome fire warrior units over here, it's about to go. 2 minutes left in the battle, and it's quite clear who's going to win. Arverni and the Leugoz combine their forces to defeat the juggernaut that is the Odrysian kingdom. And the Cimbri are a fantastic online faction. I seem like a great faction used for online battles. Sorry my voices be terrible for this video, guys. Still have remnants of the cold that I mentioned in the last video, so you might see quite a few cutouts because I've been sneezing my ass off while recording this battle. But I'm sick of these colds getting in the way of me getting you guys content, so it's the price we have to pay. You're gonna hear your boy Immersiaholic sounding pretty dopey and whatnot, droopy. But we have an awesome online battle right here. This is really cool to watch. I really think it came down to the Leugoz player just defending so well. And I mean, he kind of got a little bit lucky that the Odrysian didn't push the issue as well, but I'm not sure if that would have been enough. Just the combination of the cavalry doing so well for the Arverni, and then their archers combined with the Leugoz archers was deadly against the Cimbri. The Cimbri really have low armor, so using archers and then nullifying their cavalry, such a good move. Really, really well done. Very impressed by everyone involved here. All of the competitive DEI players are always an absolute joy to watch. They're all fantastic. They all have their own styles too. Like, just sitting here watching, I could tell who is who by just the way that they're playing. Like, I know completely that God is playing as the Odrysians because he has his cavalry, he has his run fire warriors, he has his like style of skirmishing them and whatnot. I now see that Andre is using his formations and whatnot still. He isn't using them now, obviously, later in the battle, but it's just so exciting watching any online battle from any of these people. So I really do appreciate the battle replays coming in. Whether you're doing competitive DEI or just casual, I really do love to see any and all battle replays. So please, do feel free to send your own in. But anyway, we have a close victory. The Arverni and the Leugoz take the win. GG's to everyone involved. Let's very quickly look at the statistics and then we'll end it there. Okay, everyone, here we are at the statistics. I will be brief as I'm trying my best not to sneeze in video. But anyway, wow, what an awesome battle that was. You can definitely see that the Cimbri really struggled in this battle. And this is their roster here on the right hand side, and we can see why they struggled. The cavalry, despite it being pretty decent cav, they got annihilated. I'm not sure how they did. The Arverni didn't bring in a lot of spears to help, but man, it might have just been the charging timing of the Arverni. The general did come in and help out as well. The heavy cav of the Arverni are amazing, so I mean they're going to be tough nuts to crack. But the Cimbri cav doing really poor didn't help, and then combining that with their spearmen being pretty low tier. I would have liked to have seen more fast-moving units from the Cimbri instead of spears, bringing more swords or axemen. Yeah, I pretty rarely use spears myself as a Cimbri. They have awesome units like these skirmishers though, so they, you know, more of them might be cool. Could have been a little bit more helpful potentially. But yeah, you need some good medium tier units if you're going up against factions like the Arverni and the Leugoz, because they're gonna be using spears. The Leugoz, I wasn't expecting as many spears though, so I mean, Leugoz are kind of hard to predict and not used that often in battles, and when they are, they do have options. They can do spears or they can do swords and axes, so that's always going to be a little bit hard to handle. And by hard to handle, I mean it's pretty hard to predict what they're going to do. And then, I mean, clicking here, just looking at their army briefly, you can see their cavalry was amazing. I'm really impressed by the Leugoz cav. Their archers did really good. The kills aren't massive, but you know, for some pretty, you know, standard cheap archers, they did quite well. And they had very valuable kills. They took out the enemy skirmishers and they took out their cav to an extent. And then they started targeting their run fire warriors. So these archers combined with the Arverni slingers did quite well. The Arverni slingers themselves didn't get all that many kills, but they were still completely there. They didn't lose a single man for any of those units, so that's impressive in itself. The Arverni cav did amazing. Like I said, their spearmen got a lot more kills than what I expected. However, that could have also been from the Cimbri routing, so I'm not going to put in too much stock into the kills of the spearmen, but they have these high kills and they have a lot of men left in their rosters, I mean in their units. So the Arverni spearmen were impressive. The Thracians though, Thracian on Fire Warriors did amazing, you know, 400 kills, like it's nothing. But the cavalry just did nothing really to help out. I mean, you know, they did for a while, but they didn't do anything that would win them the battle. Because they were too busy plugging up other holes and whatnot. They did a really awesome charge where they got into the archers of the Arverni and the Leugoz, and if they could have just maybe pushed that or not been shut down so quickly by the Arverni spearmen and whatnot, that could have really turned the battle back in their favor. So really nice maneuvering by God with the cav, but unfortunately he just couldn't get those kills, and it just wasn't good enough. Their short pikes actually did quite well. That's interesting. Peltas did fine. Thracian elite infantry itself, pretty good. Not bad at all, really. That's the kind of kills that I would expect from the Thracians with elite infantry. But yeah, the Cimbri they didn't really have any hard killers. Spearmen like that aren't really going to get their kills. I believe this is the Helicini, however you pronounce it, Axemen or Assault Infantry. I mean, not terrible, but man, they actually no, it was pretty bad. Their kills, they needed to get a little bit more going. Yeah, I think the Cimbri maybe could have instead focused on using more like rush-based units, like swords, axes, and whatnot, and then bring them in. I don't know any rules that were used for this online battle. I'm assuming it's like a maximum of 5 per unit, and that's it, because no person here brought any more than 5 of any type of unit. And I think that a maximum of 4 cavalry was also enforced, but besides that, I don't know rules, so I mean, rules might have come into play regarding swords and axes. I doubt it, but maybe. But anyway, very awesome battle. Thank you again to my man Andre for sending in the replay. Thank you to everyone for participating in the battle. I appreciate all of you. And thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one.